even though we don't, okay. This one? There go your ears, right? Sorry. Okay. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you all to the Wednesday, September 13th, 2017 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen. It's 5:03. And first item on the agenda is the Woodbridge Board of Education Superintendent Robert Gilbert, and I welcome you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great to see all of you again, and hope you're doing well, enjoying the summer weather that's come back. I'm not sure why I have this jacket on, but I'll leave it on for now. It's here. It's kind of stuck to me. I think this is on. Is this on?
Yes, it is.
Oh, now there's a red light on it now.
Yeah.
The red light should be on?
The red light
should
be on.
It's on.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So I think the last time I was here was in July. I was not here in August. So thinking back to July, and in July I think I told you that we had some great summer programs going on, and they've obviously concluded now that we're into the regular year. We had great participation during the summer programs. I think at that time I also mentioned that we were exploring some ways as we start to look forward to the current year as well as future years about how to do cost savings, and at that time I spoke to you a little bit about we're looking wherever possible to do shared services and explore those kinds of options. I just want to let you know that we are continuing in that process. Our facilities manager, as I mentioned, had resigned and took a job closer to home, and we're exploring some opportunities right now and getting a little deeper with Amity Region 5 and talking a little bit about shared possible services with facilities management, at least a pilot program. So that's moving forward. It's still not a done deal, but we're trying to look at that and ways to save money and economies. And also you might remember in July I was able to give you good news that even though we had been running a deficit all year, we were able to finish the year in the black. Even though it was only $19,000, that's better than nothing, and we were happy about that, and we were grateful for the town for their support, obviously, during the course of the year. So on to this year. I'm going to talk a little bit about budget and then just a little bit about program. I think you're already aware of a number of items that are certainly impacting this year. The first thing that comes to mind is the large health insurance increase that we were confronted with after we had already set our budget. We had already had a 10% growth in our budget for health insurance that we had planned, and the numbers came in way above that, and so we're certainly that's impacting our deficit at this current time. We also have a growing enrollment through the entire school. We're well over our anticipated numbers at this point, and also, as I've mentioned before, our pre-K population, our grades, our ages 3 and 4, those are students who have mandated services. That enrollment has grown quite a bit as well. And we do have some continued unanticipated outplacements and costs for special education. So despite the good news of being in the black from July, for this current fiscal year, we're currently running a special ed deficit of $244,000. A number of items contribute to this: unanticipated placements, a settlement. We've had to add a pre-K van for our growing pre-K population, and additional required OT, occupational therapy, and physical therapy costs. We did not end up adding any teacher for the extra pre-K. We were able to use existing staff and tried to use economies that way to take care of that need. But $244,000 is the current special education deficit, and when you add the health increase that roughly was $150,000 of unanticipated monies, we're at a number that we don't want to be at. We have some other savings that we've already realized, at least anticipated at this point in busing. So right now, as I reported to the Board of Finance the Finance Subcommittee from the Board, we're realizing about a $350,000 deficit for this year, all things combined. Obviously, as we did last year, we'll be giving very close attention to this. I honestly want to tell you that I don't see the kinds of large savings in our current budget that we had last year that will offset this in the same way we did last year, but we obviously will be giving you monthly updates on that, and we'll be doing everything we can to be as prudent as possible. So that's the budget part of my update for you. In terms of budget aside, we've had a great start to the school year. We had teacher professional development days, as we always do in the summer, on professional learning communities and vertical articulation and summer curriculum projects. We had some great transition programs for parents for their kindergarten children coming in for the first time. Last night was the third of our open house nights, and we've concluded those open house welcoming nights for parents. A couple weeks ago, we had our PTO ice cream social. As I mentioned, we're well above our anticipated number of students. We were anticipating around 815 for this year. We're at 831. And it's only the beginning of the year. Traditionally, Beecher has usually grown in population during the course of the year as the year goes on. So that 831 would likely grow to be a higher number. We have our extended day program operating as always, and is also operating very healthy in terms of numbers. From the Board of Education standpoint, I think most of you have heard about this, but the Board of Education has established an SRO, School Resource Officer Ad Hoc Committee, and that was established to respond to the reality that the town very graciously providing us with the SRO for this year also made it known to us that that was not beyond this year. So we are trying to, we've gathered a broad stakeholder group. We are having meetings. We've actually had 3 parent informational opportunities for parents to come and hear some information as well as give us their thoughts and their questions. We'll be having another meeting tomorrow night of this committee as we begin to get ready to put together a survey that we'll send out to all parents electronically for them to respond. And eventually this committee, the charge of this committee is to come back to the Board of Ed with a recommendation or a series of recommendations as to how to move forward. We're trying to move this forward early, obviously, because this has a budget impact potentially as we move into our budget setting process, which happens in the fall. Lastly, we are obviously enjoying the great facilities that the town has dedicated great funding to over the past few years. We continue to make sure that we're being good stewards of that. We've had a few minor issues and needs, which happen typically with any building that's going to have 170,000 square feet. Our vendor ESG has been very responsive. They were out to the building last week to give some attention to the controls in the building, to a few valves that need to be replaced, and to a very isolated roof leak. So we're moving ahead with that, and they've been responsive. So that concludes my report. I think the next time I'll be here will be in October, and it'll be pretty close to the Hallowe'en Hoot, which I'm sure most of you have experienced before. You're all welcome to that on October 21st.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
I'm sorry, the amount that you said you were running was, our expected deficit was 300 and...
So we have a 244, and this is what I reported on Monday to the Board of Ed Finance Subcommittee. Right now, special ed is a $244,000 deficit. Total for special ed, and then health insurance was $150,000, and then we've also realized or anticipated some savings. So those two numbers together minus some savings for busing puts that about $350 right now total.
Is there anything that you're looking at from that shared resource perspective you have any estimates as to what the outcome of that might be, or any other such initiatives?
So right now we're actually realizing some small savings because we haven't filled the position at this point, and we have an existing staff member who is sort of doing 2 roles, and so we're certainly not expending the same amount for that salary of that person who's not been filled at this point. I don't have the number right now. Amity and Chip and I met last week, and we're waiting them to get back to us, and I'm not sure what the proposal might be from them in terms of, it really would be them sharing their facilities management with us, and how that might shake out in terms of what would our cost be, what would they save because of what we're paying them. I don't have that number yet. So we are realizing some small savings in that area though right now, just because we haven't filled the position.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thanks very much, folks.
See you soon.
Okay.
I have a meeting with them Friday. Okay, next item on the agenda is the first Selectman's report. And I'll go fast, but it's a lot. Probably going to take up most of the meeting talking, so sorry. I attended several meetings and community events in the last month. I went to the SCROG meeting on August 23rd, And most mayors and first selectmen are all very concerned about the state budget, and we hope they will decide soon what we're going to do. So it's just, that's pretty much what most of the meeting is taken up by. Interestingly, Woodbridge is the only municipality to have signed on for a microgrid project, but there are 2 others that are interested. And I do plan to invite mayors and first selectmen anytime they want to come out and see us once we're done and ready to see our project, and maybe they'll sign on. It's coming along well. I think we're almost there.
Almost, yep.
Yep. I went to the 7th grade picnic for incoming middle school students from Woodbridge and Bethany. It was great. It was very well attended across here on the green. Weather was perfect, and it's a good time for kids to meet each other from Woodbridge and Bethany that are going up to the junior high. Teri Gursky was there, as well as several administrators. And I just want to thank our Youth Services, Human Services Department for a great program. They really, it was great. It was a lot of interaction, and they had a good DJ and fun games for the kids. I did go to opening day at Beecher Road School and waved at the kids as they came off the bus. It was another beautiful day. We've had lovely weather. And I did attend the Beecher Road School Ice Cream Social on Wednesday, August 30th. Almost 1,000 people, I think, were there. It was huge. It was just amazing. And I was covered with ice cream from top to bottom. But very fun. It was a good time. September 3rd, I went to the Massaro Farm dinner, and they are currently it was beautiful. It was a lovely evening. It rained for 2 days before, and I was kind of worried. So they put the tents up, but it was still a great evening. And they had a nice auction, and they're currently fundraising to complete a needed environmentally sustainable parking area. I guess something without asphalt, is that right? So that's what they're fundraising for. So I told John Gorham we'd give him a plug for massarofarm.org if you want to help out. On Tuesday the 5th, I met with representatives from UI and our first responders, fire, police, and public works for the annual storm preparedness meeting. Hopefully we won't need it, but it's something we do every year. Our current plan was reviewed and updated. Woodbridge is well prepared. It was very informative, but we're in good shape. The Freedom of Information seminar last night was very well attended. Mica was there, and David was there as well. Sheila was there. And once again, it was very informative and educational. Tom Hennick always has new stories to tell us. Hi, Bonnie. Sorry. Thank you again to Tom for coming out, and it was really, as I said, a wonderful presentation. And if you missed it, it's going to be shown on Channel 79 at some point, which is good. Those were pretty much the highlights of meetings. I'd also like to update you on a couple of staff meetings I've had. Tony and Sheila and I met with Bill Moorhead on Monday, August 28th. That's the gentleman who's provided this still in draft form report regarding the former country club property. We'll be talking about that later, but Adam Parsons came, and we talked a little bit about ongoing mowing and grounds maintenance efforts in line with what Mr. Moorhead had recommended up to that point. And as I said, we'll be talking about that later in the agenda. I had a meeting with Chip Dumais on September 6th. Everything went smoothly at Amity, and he's looking for opportunities for shared services, which is, I'm glad to hear from Beecher that they're communicating. That's good. Tony and I met with Recreation Director John Adamovich and Recreation Commissioner Bob Hill, who's in the audience. Hi, Bob. Regarding the pool at the former country club. Tony will be providing us some financial data, well, actually to the Recreation Commission first, and then they're going to look carefully at the data to analyze how the now concluded summer season went. The Rec Commission's aim will be to work with Tony and I to prepare a recommendation that will come out to the October Board of Selectmen meeting for us to consider. We hope it'll include funding that might be needed in this current FY budget to open the pool again next season without too many major expenses. If we're lucky, we can get away with another season. Minimal capital investment necessary. I have had a lot of phone calls from residents asking to try to keep the pool open for another season as we look to the future of the country club property. And I think it's important that we on the Board of Selectmen act in a timely manner to provide the guidance necessary for this planning and consideration of funding for the possibility of a summer 2018 pool season. We start now rather than waiting. So I want to be sure that the Rec Commission is able to get out in front of the pool opening process this spring with the goal of making the season as successful as possible. And if the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Finance determine there will be a 2018 season, we'll see. Barring any unforeseen circumstances, the Board of Selectmen will be focusing on this issue, I hope, at our October meeting next month. I also have an update on the Animal Respite Facility Building Committee. We met several times in the last month. Our last meeting was this past Thursday. And we also met on the 31st, and very exciting things are happening. Thanks, Karen, for helping us through this. And Laura, thank Leland. The DECD, that's Department of, this is the state.
Community development.
Okay. Waived the bid process on the installation of the water line, and as the Regional Water Authority is a sole source vendor, our latest update from Ted Norris at Regional Water was that the project will begin within the next 2 weeks, and I'm happy to announce it started this past Monday, and they're moving, so we should get water pretty soon down there. No more bottled water. So that's very exciting. They're really moving quickly. It'll take about 2 weeks to complete, and there'll be 2 hydrants on the new water main extension. After water main installation and results from the disinfection and sampling process have been completed, a smaller crew comes in to install the 2-inch water service to the meter vault. Chris Nardi of Silver Petrocelli will coordinate the connection of the curb valve. The geotech report identified filled land throughout the site. However, the mechanical room is small enough that it will be supported without improvement, meaning we don't have to do additional pylon, I don't know what you call those things under a building, but piles
Yeah.
support it. So additional borings might be necessary for other areas of the project, but the good news is we can go forward. We got an environmental report which revealed only one small area of concern, which is near the furnace flue cement area, and the estimated cost for abatement is $750, so it's not bad at all. After the town's portion of the water line is paid for and the architectural fees are paid, there is $282,000 left in the steep grant for the phases of the project that are be bid at this time. Bids went out, and there'll be a mandatory walkthrough. The bid opening process, I think, is October 3rd?
Right.
At 3 o'clock. And bid results will be sent to the Board of Selectmen, and Silver Petrocelli will make a presentation, I hope, at the October 11th meeting to all of us. And One Big Dog fundraising efforts are ongoing. Lots of events coming up. Stay tuned. I'd just like to take a moment to focus on our town's 10-year plan of conservation and development. This is a plan that was several years in the works and finalized in accordance with state statute. It covers the years 2015 to 25. Believe it or not, we're already nearly 2.5 years through this time span. We now have a copy of the printed document. I hope all of the selectmen do, and it is available if anyone wants one. And I'd be most appreciative to hear your thoughts once you have time to go through the plan. With Sheila's help, I will be focusing on strategic goals that are stated in this plan, and will be sharing with each relevant board. I've started that when I've attended boards and commissions. I've given them the plan. There are applicable parts to each board and commission as what their assignments are for the 10-year plan. So we'll be reviewing that with boards and commissions. We'll seek to have a 10-year plan guide with work of our town government, and we'll use this framework to report our progress as we go along. Also, on behalf of the Town of Woodbridge Volunteer Fire Association, delivered 50 cases of drinking water for those impacted by Hurricane Harvey to a convoy that was being organized by the Beacon Falls Fire Department. I know Karen did a collection of items at the shelter that went with the Beacon Falls convoy as well, so that was very nice. I just want to thank you, as well as the firemen, for their efforts on our behalf. There are many wonderful community events in October. In your packet, there's a Fallapalooza flyer. We'll learn about more from Sheila on all of those. I'll skip over it, and I hope you're all going to take time to attend as many of them as you can. It's important that we all show up, and Mica and I are going to trade off some of them, I know, because I'm performing 2 weddings in October. It'll be hard. And just finally, don't panic, I'm on finally. I want to take a moment to thank all the town employees and members of each board and commission for their support over my first 2 months. I have forwarded each letter that I get from residents and to board members if I have received them, continuing to encourage residents to call or visit with me about any issues they might have. And there's several of them in your packet. It's kind of nice that people take the time to thank us when good things happen. They do take time to tell me when bad things happen too, but it's okay. We try to solve those too. And I'm just very proud to be a part of this town. So that is my report. If anybody wants to see the thank yous from town residents, they're public information. Now we'll move on to liaison reports. Teri?
Well,
pretty much covered everything that I was going to report. Most importantly, at the last Beecher, the Board of Ed meeting was the increase in enrollment, which obviously you heard, and how that's going to affect the town. And subsequently, the class sizes are getting bigger there. So it's something they're keeping an eye on. CUPOP, the last meeting, they reviewed the updated proposed signage for the Fitzgerald property, which the town got to see at the last meeting. They came before us, and we updated the no idling portion to one of the signs for the parking lot. And a committee came. I see they're on the agenda, so I think they're going to come and talk about it, about a proposed dog park, which was exciting for CUPOP to discuss, and I think that there was also a meeting last night at the library.
This night was busy. Every building in this town was lit up.
Crazy week.
We had a busy night.
So yeah, hopefully they'll give you an idea of what they came to talk about. And they don't have any major reports from the Amity Board of Ed.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
I attended the Recreation Commission meeting, and one of the things that did come up was the finance report that you have indicated Tony will be providing, and also a request that maybe next year it be just a little bit more often, if you will, so that they have an opportunity to make adjustments or things of that nature if possible. So we can talk about that. They talked a little bit about the number of events that were going on, not the least of which is what you mentioned, the Fallapalooza. So it's not much more than that. In terms of activity, it was more just a normal routine type of information, and I think we've hit just about everything else.
Good. Thank you. I forgot to tell that Fire Commission was canceled in August. I should say, by the way, Joe and Joe were both in Italy at different places, so good for them.
I attended, excuse me, I attended 2 meetings, both of them the same day, which was interesting. One is the Library Commission. They did several things. They had elections because it was their first meeting, and they appointed officers as well. So the people who were elected were Glicksman, Marsh, and Chernow. No changes there. And there's subcommittees for personnel, policy, and building maintenance. The Friends of the Library have some fundraising events. They have mini golf in November 3rd and 4th. They're looking for sponsors. They're also having a book sale in June.
Can't imagine mini golf at the library. It's called swinging through the stacks. I can't imagine.
Well, they actually have one hole set up. It's pretty good, yeah.
My son was there last night.
Personnel, they hired 2 pages. I'm not sure what they do. I assume they show books. These are part-time. One is a college student, one is a high school student. These are minimum wage part-time positions. They also hired a children's library assistant part-time who's very well qualified, actually overqualified for this job, but it does fit her schedule. In the capital budget, the flood remediations have been completed. There is some worn out carpeting that will need to be replaced. In the director's report, because of reduction in state funding, intra-library loans have been restricted. So Woodbridge has contracted with Riverbend Express to do private delivery within the Lion library system. This year the fees are covered by Lion. Next year we will have to pay, it will be $3,200. The farmers market and the movies have been well attended. Staff closures for staff development will no longer be for the entire day. They'll just be for a few hours. Director has goals, and these are to restock and reconfigure the Woodbridge room, which is that nice room with the fireplace, reading room, which now has periodicals and historical documents, and that will be reshelved, so it'll be full of books. It'll look very inviting. And they're planning on having sophisticated programs like book readings and poetry readings there for 20 people or so. They're going to create a digital media lab so that people can convert older format materials to digital format. They will be doing fundraisers because they've lost $20,000 in state funding. with this budget problem. They will be weeding underutilized materials, so they'll develop a plan, criteria, and schedule for doing that, and they will be revising the policy manual. The other meeting that I went to was the Human Services Commission. There was a Youth Services report. They have, as I said before, a lot of programs. They have a job readiness program, and they've brought back inspirational speakers who are alumni from Amity. One is Jeff Gittleman, and he's a musician, songwriter and producer, and he will actually be teaching a class at Amity. And they have Jeremy Benson, who is an author. They paid some scholarships to people from the job bank. They're starting an iPhone photography program to get children interested in photography. We talked about the 7th grade picnic. They'll be having a back-to-school bash for 7th and 8th graders September 15th on the Woodbridge Green with Big Daddy's Racing and a photo booth and a DJ. They have some State Department of Education grants. Let's see what else they have. Oh, in the Health and Human Services, they have a balance of $36,867 in the town food and fuel balance, and they will be having a fundraiser for that as well. I think you're going to talk about that. They have some capital expenditures. I said there's a lot going on. They have capital expenditures. They have purchased a freezer, a dishwasher, and a stand, a hot water booster, and a lectern. They've all been ordered. A refrigerator will be ordered, and that will be paid for out of operating funds because it's less than $5,000. They're also purchasing a camera and a laptop computer for youth services. And then there's some grants which came up. There's a steep grant for a ramp for the center, but the state has not made a funding decision yet. There's a small cities grant, which is going to be administered by the Lisa Lowe Associates. That'll be used to renovate the bathroom. That also has not come through. The plan, if the renovations start, would be to move the programs to the church while the construction's going on. There are upcoming programs. I think you're going to talk about these, Ms. Sarah Farms. Flu clinic, flu shot clinic. There's a musician. There are pancake breakfast with fundraisers, walk for Alzheimer's, a breakfast lecture series, Medicare info center, a Medicare lecture, and a pie sale fundraiser for the center. There'll be a road race. Monday, there is a community Narcan Save a Life training program to be held at the library, and that's October 2nd, 5 to 7 p.m. There was one other thing that they asked me to bring to the meeting, and this is, excuse me, this is their desire to include flyers with the take-home packets from the schools, and they've been told that it is against school policy to do that. They asked us to revisit that policy and perhaps modify it so they could include that. And that's it.
I'll revisit it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll find out. I don't know at this point. That's it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Item 4, Ad Hoc Sustainability Committee. We used to have an energy advisory task force for the past few years, and a major focus of that group was to encourage solar installation on homes and also have residents sign up for an energy audit. They do a study of the homes and decide where you can improve, and they give you some free light bulbs, and then you buy some, and I did it. And now that these specific efforts have been wrapped up, and one or two of the members one of them moved to California, I know, so the remaining members have expressed that they would like to continue to work on broader sustainability issues on behalf of the town. So with your blessing, I would like to create a new committee called the Ad Hoc Sustainability Committee, and I would like to ask the board to vote on a charge to this new committee as follows. Conduct a review of data and formulate recommendations to the Board of Selectmen, because they are advisory only. They just advise us with things, for consideration on sustainability initiatives in the following areas: town building energy use, recycling, waste and food systems, vehicles and transportation, and education and outreach to the community regarding the above topics. So I would entertain a motion to approve the charge. Or
I'll so move.
okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, anyone have any discussion or questions on this? Okay.
Sounds like a great idea.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy they're willing to do this. All in favor? Thank you. The ad hoc committee is going to begin its work. They've had a couple of meetings with the following members, which I guess is up to the Board of Selectmen to appoint. I just appoint them, right?
Right.
John Gorham, thank goodness, has agreed to chair it. Laura Ferrante Fernandez, an original member, and Paul Rossi as well. They were both on the other committee, and they're willing to continue. And Harvey Kleiman has asked to be on it, and he attended a meeting last week to get information, but obviously wasn't a voting member at that point. So I have put out a request in the newspaper column and the town newsletter asking for other volunteers who may be interested. And if I hear from anyone, I'll make an additional appointment next month or whenever we get volunteers. So thank you very much. That's that. And it's not 6 o'clock, so we'll just keep going. There's a gentleman, I don't know if he's here. No?
No.
Okay. In your packet, there's a request to Film Board and Commission meetings of John Curley. He's an honors thesis student at, open it up, Southern? Is it Southern? Southern Connecticut State University. And he would like to make a documentary looking into examining further relationship between community television and its importance to today's society, but more in an audio-visual type format. This format will provide a unique visual perspective on the day-to-day operations of community television. And he chose Woodbridge, or WGAT 79, in action, working to provide transparency to your local government. And he was very impressed with our particular setup. So PUA, he met with PUA, and PUA thought it was probably a good idea to come to the Board of Selectmen. I don't even know if we need to approve this, do we? Approve him
We
doing
usually
it?
take a vote
Okay.
when somebody does it, yes.
All right. So hopefully you...
Based on our FOI.
Yeah, right,
Based
right.
on our FOI.
Yeah, which was last night. I know. So we will. So I will entertain a motion to. The only question I want to ask before we do that is who will be signing. There was a question as to who would be signing the appearance release. It's in the packet.
Let me see.
Forgot to ask you. Sorry, ahead of time. It allows Southern to permission to use his video, image, voice, or words in the above named program. I also agree to permit Southern to use my name, likeness, and voice in perpetuity for home video, DVD, I expressly release Southern Connecticut State University, its administrators, faculty, defamation, or other claims I have arising out of the broadcast, exhibition, publication, promotion, other uses of the program, and the footage containing my appearance therein. With this agreement, I give up any claim, financial or otherwise, resulting from the use of this material.
This looks like anybody who he's going to be doing videotaping.
Which we
It's
can,
not us.
you can, right.
It's third parties.
Right.
Just because when we learned, one of the things we learned yesterday is that doesn't
can't prevent
necessarily can't prevent.
Right.
Right.
You can
And
videotape
being that it's
anything.
public, is it even necessary? I guess is my question.
To take the vote?
Well-
If it's a minor, I think it has to be, right?
Well-
Don't you have to get their
Well, yeah,
permission?
the release would have to be signed, especially if it's a minor, but we can't prevent somebody from coming to any meeting and videotaping it.
Right.
That's clear. That's under FOI.
He's planning to go to the Board of Selectmen, Board of
Right.
Finance, Town Plan and Zoning Board of Appeals, Inland Wetlands, and other community
It was
events.
nice that he made the request, because you can set a criteria as to where they videotape, how much equipment. It can't be a disruption to the meeting, so you can tell them to be
You don't
at
want
this side,
something
that
with the
side.
size of Chicago on your,
Right.
on your shoulder, busting into people's face.
But this would
Okay.
be, I don't know whether they'll ever get these signed, but it's not not for us to sign it. We're just
Okay.
giving him permission.
He thought perhaps PUA might be able to sign it on, I don't know.
If she's interviewed, maybe.
What?
If she's
Yeah, if she's interviewed, she's one of the
Yeah,
bids.
okay.
So I don't think we need to worry about that now.
Okay.
This is
All right. So our motion would just be to
grant his request.
grant his request as listed in the letter that was provided in our packet. So I'd entertain that motion.
Make a motion
Thank you.
to
Is there a second?
grant it.
Thank you.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Item 7, Troop 63.
I'm sorry, Beth, before we move on.
Yeah, sure.
Could we potentially ask him just if we could see the end product as well?
Sure.
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good
And
idea.
he says in his letter, I've also attached a production waiver that all main parties appearing on camera must sign as university policy requires. So that's up to him to make sure he complies
So
with
if he comes
university
to our
policy.
meeting, he would have to
He
ask
may
us all
pass this
to.
out if he,
Ready.
and get your
Okay.
permission.
Okay. Alrighty, and we can certainly do that.
It's going to be hard to say no because, as Mica pointed out, he has the right to take
Right.
the proceeding.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Holiday tree sales, he's not here yet. We just skip it. Is Ted planning to come?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll move on from item 7, and we'll move to item 8, which is dog park on the Fitzgerald property. Sorry, let me just get there. I have in your packet some communication received from several members of the public interested in creating a dog park in town. A letter from Bonnie Blake, who's here this evening. Welcome. A previous message from back in March from some local Girl Scouts, and the public comment from Dr. Philip Arnold that was made at the June 2017 Board of Selectmen meeting. Sheila and Jerry Shaw did some research to see what had been considered previously in the process, and that is in your packet. They found that the suggestion for the town to have a dog park is made in the current POCD on page 102, and also was part of the recommendations that came to the Board of Selectmen in the management plan for the Fitzgerald Track report, put together by the Yale School of Forestry and Environmental Science for the Woodbridge Conservation Commission back in 2009. So that is now in your packet. In addition, or maybe it's not in the packet, is it in a pile? Okay, it's in a pile. Okay, we have piles and packets. In addition, a review of the plan of past Board of Selectmen meeting minutes is also in there. Prior to any discussion of the board, I think it's prudent to send a request to the CUPOP Commission, which is Commission on Publicly Owned Properties, for them to review the issue and consider a recommendation. We usually do that with anything that comes to a town property. So, and we're also going to look to send a request to Town Plan and Zoning for an 824 review. Maybe, do you want to elaborate on why we should do that?
We refer, anytime anybody proposes to use town property, 8-24 is a state statute which says when the town does any kind of talks about substantial improvements to property, we refer it to planning and zoning for them to review to make sure they don't see any problems with land use. So this is really on the border, because we're not sure there's going to be required any substantial improvements to the property, but they may add some gates or things like that. So our practice has been over the last many years is to refer anything that involves town property and a change in use to P&Z, and they will take a look at it and they'll send us a report back.
So with that in mind, can we do them together, or can we do two? It's CUPOP and TP&Z.
I think you should do a separate one for
Okay.
8-24 because it's a state requirement.
Okay, and then assuming we get their reports back, once we get them back, then we will begin the discussion, have a presentation from the members. So your next job is, I guess, to go to CUPOP and Plan and Zoning. So once we hear back from them, we'll schedule a time for discussion and possible action on one of our agendas. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion to refer the dog park proposal to Town Plan and Zoning for an 824 review. Is there a motion? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on that motion?
Yeah, I have some questions on that. From Jerry's point, I think there will have to be some improvements to that property, changes to that property, double gates, and maybe dividing sections up so that large dogs and small dogs, will not be interacting.
Yeah, I don't even know if there's a proposal yet, with all of that included, which will probably be their job to take to CUPOP next.
Sure.
But, because I haven't seen an actual proposal, but I think you're right.
And CUPOP and Planning and Zoning will give us their recommendations. Okay.
Yes.
For consideration.
Well, Plan and Zoning actually
Planning and
gives us
zoning has
approval.
the right to
State
tell us
statute.
we shouldn't do it.
Either yes
by
or no.
state statute,
Should
right?
not do it,
Yeah,
right.
they have
Should not do it, or they
statutorial.
can say you do it. If
Yeah.
they say you should not do it, that could be overridden, as I recall from the statute, by a supermajority of this board.
And I guess CUPOP is advisory, right?
CUPOP is only
Right.
advisory.
Okay,
Right.
all right. So which one do we just do?
So are we bound by a
Planning and
positive
Zoning.
decision of TPZ?
No,
We're not, okay.
absolutely not.
All right.
So to be
okay.
clear, the motion was specifically to send it to TP&Z
For
their
an
review.
824
Yeah, we
review
wanted to
and
clarify
report
that.
back to us. Okay, and we had
Which is
we
pretty
had a
much
first and a
requirement.
second?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion to send a review of the dog park proposal to CUPOP. Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Is there any discussion on that? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Thank you, guys. Item 9, ecological assessment of the former Country Club of Woodbridge property, William Moorhead. Mr. Moorhead, late yesterday afternoon, very late, I think it was after, well, we were still here till 9 o'clock last night with all the meetings going on, sent us the draft proposal. If you recall, part of it was due August 15th, and we didn't get it then because he had more to do. And we now have still a draft proposal, which is obviously public record if anyone would like to look at it. I haven't looked at it yet. It is huge and small print and very complicated, so I didn't have time to get to it, but we have it for consideration. Regarding that, he is not here to answer any questions this evening. And given that, we are now going to take up what to do. We were hoping once we had this report we could make some decisions about what to do for going forward with the property at this point. Not the future, but just what to do with it right now. We have a lovely 155 acres that probably needs some mowing, in my opinion, and I asked Tony to look at how much it might cost to mow the property. What I took from Mr. Moorhead's report is that we could begin mowing once the nesting season was over, and I can't remember the date, whether it's the 15th or the 16th of October? 16th of October. So we have a little bit of time, but given the fact that we have to pay for the mowing, I asked Tony to get begin to look into some pricing for a complete mow of the property, cleaning it up and sort of buttoning it up for the fall. And in addition to that, that will obviously, if we approve it tonight, would have to go to the Board of Finance, and they don't meet next week because of Rosh Hashanah, so they meet on October 28th, I think.
Right.
September 28th.
September 28th,
I'm rushing the month, which I will be at if they have questions, et cetera, as will Tony. And if we do approve a funding request, it'll have to go to them. And then that will be the end of September, so given October 15th, if everything goes as planned, we can proceed with getting it at least mowed and cleaned up a bit. So I guess I'll open it up to discussion first, if anyone has some comments or discussions on the report. I know you didn't get to see it until you walked in tonight, but it's or how you feel you want to. This is our board.
His preliminary report that he initially sent.
That's pretty much what
summary
this
of-
is. There's
right,
not much
there's a lot
except
more
for the
detail.
map is explained.
Significantly more, but his preliminary report basically indicated that there weren't any endangered species or anything along those lines that we really need to be overly concerned about in terms of whatever maintenance we wanted to do on it.
Right, and the nesting would
And he
end.
didn't indicate that
Right.
there was anything different
Right.
since then, right? We'll look this over in more detail.
Don't
but-
think so, because the draft report is still the draft report. I don't think he added anything to that. He
Right,
just
no,
gave
I
us a
believe he did,
map with what kind of soils. He's more of a botanical versus I was kind of hoping we'd have a map that said mow here on this day, do 2 inches this, but we didn't get that, so.
It appears to be pretty thorough, though, so.
It was very
It'd be
thorough,
great to go
but
through it,
yeah.
So-
But it's more from a botanical versus a procedural way to proceed. So, procedural way to proceed. Anyway, okay, so.
At one point, I know we were going to set up a special meeting to discuss it after we got this meeting, after we got the report. Is that still?
That will also include, probably if we have a final report, that will also include perhaps the survey that I want to do, a big meeting on the whole property and how we're going to proceed, perhaps discussing Joe's idea of getting a land use analyst, how we're going to, if we need an RFP for that, just doing a special meeting because it's too much to do as part of our other agenda. So we'll do that. I talked to David about that as well.
So Tony has some.
Oh wait,
Yeah,
I just want to ask first if anybody else has any comments on the report.
I mean, I agree with
Or
Mica. I mean,
what
the
where we are
significant
first.
summary is on page 6, and he says, "It's our understanding that mowing of the entire grassy area is tentatively planned. Our conclusion would have no significant adverse impact on the plants, animals, or plant communities we have identified." So,
That's it, in sum,
Yep.
yep.
so we're good to go.
Okay.
I mean, I think just based on the draft, I would say doesn't preclude the town from going to get the bids for mowing, because I know that the cross-country team was looking at using the land, and right now I don't think in the current state they can. So without doing some maintenance, and then also I think the growing season should be slowing down. So I don't think you'd have to continue mowing it once you do it this year if we're able to.
Right,
Hopefully we could just get it done once, and then should be good until the spring.
yeah,
Talk to Adam about that.
we hope, okay.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
Okay, great. Thanks, Mica. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I
No,
just
no,
thought we'll
that's- yeah.
finish that up.
Please.
So now we'll turn it over to Tony, because I did ask him to take a peek and see what we can. I also got a request from a resident of another suggestion for mowing, so I'll pass that along to Tony.
So the actual funding request I was going to hand out in the section here where it's got funding requests, just so that it's, you know, it's easier if we look back on this. You want to research when it was. It's in funding requests as opposed to. But I can tell you that we have done some limited, based on our timetable, we've got some limited pricing on how much it would cost to mow the entire property. Our recommendation after speaking with Adam and the crew is to have a third party come out and mow the entire parcel. They have the proper equipment and the personnel to do it quickly and to do it, you know, as indicated here. So the current proposal is for not to exceed $4,000, but we're trying to get pricing on that, so we don't have all the pricing in. The idea is it's a little conservative, and then we're going to get some pricing from various people, and hopefully by the time the Board of Finance meets, it'll be lower.
Way lower.
Yeah.
We hope.
Is that for one-time mowing?
For a one-time
Does it
mowing.
only include the mowing, or does it also include some other type of maintenance and?
It's just mowing and grinding of the, again, this is just one, so we have to get multiple.
It's just a quick phone call,
Right.
you know.
Understand.
Yeah, based on our short timetable.
But we had heard maybe others might be less.
I've
so
heard that others would be
we're gonna-
significantly less, correct.
Right, so we're going to work on that.
So,
'cause that's a
we just need a few days to get this. So if you do a not to exceed amount, then we can lower it.
Tony, but
Should a lower amount come in?
if we are looking, I know that there's other areas, as you walk through the property, there's areas, for example, against the clubhouse, and areas where there's overgrowth that
Mhm.
is not a mowing situation. Is it possible to also ask for that
We-
type of work? Or is that something
The idea was to address the entire property when I discussed it.
Okay,
so
so that
whatever-
would include that type
Yeah,
of thing?
would include
Okay.
that, yeah.
Okay.
And work with Adam, you know, to
right,
do that.
yeah,
But again, you know, we have to refine it a little.
right, a lot.
Right.
Okay.
But we had to get on the agenda, so we had time to.
Right, it sort of all came up yesterday afternoon, and
Right.
let's get it on the agenda, and,
Correct.
you know,
This is more of just in terms of where the money's come from. I know that, for example, there was, when you did your report last month, it indicated that there was about $50,000+ worth of equipment that had been sold from
Right.
from there. Is it possible to do something to earmark those funds for?
We could have last year.
Okay, but now that it's done,
Now it's in our fund balance, so.
Okay.
If
it would
could-
have to come out of
come out of fund balance, correct.
or contingency, okay.
Correct. Last
if-
year,
if
you could have
anything-
said, let's earmark X dollars for future maintenance on the country club. And then you follow the process, and then we could have done that, yes.
Something we would do this funding cycle.
So this year, if you want to do
Going
something
forward,
going
we
forward,
have an
and you have some
opportunity to
funds,
do
or you
that.
want to do that, you
Right.
can certainly do that.
put it in the budget when we begin the budget process.
Or you
to
could
do that.
also put it in the budget.
Right, for, FY19, is that what we're going to be
Yeah.
doing, starting this fall?
But sometimes you get some revenue that's not budgeted, unbudgeted revenue
Yeah.
that comes in that you know, that's a surplus revenue.
You can earmark
And you can
it.
earmark
So
it for that.
anything we wanted to do beyond, for example, the mowing and anything beyond would
Right.
have to come out of.
Even if you don't specifically know what that is, you can
Like, for
still,
example, the trails or the cart paths, doing repairs on them where it's really, really bad.
you could. Yeah.
Did you get an estimate on man hours that would take to mow that?
No, I haven't gotten that much detail. That's why I have to do a lot more research on how many, exactly what that
Hasn't even been
means.
24 hours, sorry.
that?
Has it been 24 hours yet? We just came up with this yesterday. We were so excited. We had the draft report at least in our hands, and let's go. So
We'll have a lot more detail from the
I
Board of
promise we'll
Finance.
keep you informed,
Yeah.
of all of this. So, as soon as it comes up, we have to have special meetings because I won't do anything by email. You'll make sure everybody's freedom of information
Hi.
out there. Yep, I know, after that
I
meeting.
have a quick question related to the sale of the previous stuff that Mica brought up.
Mhm.
Is there any more?
There is.
Are there more assets?
Yes,
that
we did an
sell?
inventory of that.
Okay.
And that's, I'm assuming, part of that meeting where you have to discuss the club.
Right. We have an
We have a full
inventory.
inventory of what's remaining on the
That'll come
golf
up at the
equipment.
the special Board of Selectmen meeting when we decide to do it.
So you can see what's left and
Right.
what condition it's in.
Okay,
And if
so
it
we'll
is
get,
sold, can we reserve it for
You
this?
could.
Going forward, we
Yep,
can.
you just have to, you follow
There you
the
go.
process that we use, and you can reserve it for that, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so anybody have anything else on that? We'll get to the funding request as we go to next item. I think we're moving along, right?
We are.
Yep. Administrative Officers Director of Finance Report. Tony.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So this is the preliminary year-end report. We're currently in the process of preparing our year-end financials and our
With
audit.
this?
Yeah. Our audit field work starts beginning of October. The auditors are usually here for 3 weeks. Usually it's 2 weeks here and a week at the Board of Education. And they go through all of our financials, all of our payables, receivables, all of our line items, do various testing on various items. And so this is just a preliminary look at where we are at the year end of 2017. So the result is a surplus of about $540,000. Now, to better understand that, there's a spreadsheet here I wanted to go through with you so you can sort of understand where that comes from. The top section of the spreadsheet are revenues. These are revenues based on the final budget, which you can see the total revenues for the year is a little under $47 million. And we collected a little over $47 million, so you can see our revenues were in surplus of $233,000. And you can see the variance in the column there. One is, the largest one is property taxes, which we had some large back tax collections come in at the end of the year. So that was good work by the tax collector's office, and we were able to have a surplus there. Interest income was up this year compared to budget. The rates have risen somewhat, and we had some favorable revenue there. Department revenues are slightly below budget, and that's primarily because of a couple of departments. Building permits were a little low. Transfer station fees were a little short there, and town clerk fees. Those are the three areas where we had some minor shortages. So you can see the budget compared to actuals, $233,000. Then you have expenditures. You can see all the various departments, and I want to highlight a few for you. One is the Board of Finance, which is $270,000. A lot of that is we had contract negotiations last year, and we had a contingency that was larger than normal, and that combined with some favorable staffing changes and other items led us not to use all of our contingency. So, and the Board of Finance was very aware of what was going on with the state budget at the time, and so chose to not spend a lot of that on other projects. And so you'll see there's a big surplus there. That's probably the largest one.
We had a good had
a very good winter. We didn't have a lot of snow removal costs, which is typically costs us a lot of money in the winter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good point. Yeah.
I'm hoping it happens again.
Right.
That's my wish.
Because that has cost us at least, could cost us $100,000 in addition to budget.
And it always on weekends, and
especially if it's on Sundays.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So another item, and there's some detail in your letter here, but the benefits line should be a surplus of a little over $100,000. We had some, that's primarily from vacant positions and coverage changes. If we budget for somebody to have family coverage and they no longer have family coverage, or that's some positive adjustments there. The Board of Ed returned a little under $20,000, as the superintendent indicated. Debt service is surplus of $122,000. That was a timing issue on the debt issued for the Beecher School, and that was as a result of a savings there because the project was capitalized and financed a little later than we had planned. So the total is a $700,000 surplus in expenditures. You see, if you could see that at the sort of towards the bottom there. So then this is the part I wanted to explain. In the budget process, we budget for $400,000 from fund balance. So you can see how that takes the $900,000 total surplus and reduces it to 500. I hope it makes sense on the spreadsheet here. But that's sort of how the allocation from fund balance impacts these operations. So normally we had a little under $1 million excess of revenues over expenditures, but because of that contribution from fund balance amount in the budget, it's about $540,000. So that's where we are. Leaves our fund balance at $5.4 million, which is about 11.38% of your total expenditures for that year. That's an earmark. That's sort of a guide we like to use for fund balance as a percentage of your expenditures. Try to stay above 10%.
You might say that the rating agencies consider that to be very, very, very good.
Right.
A lot of towns have 7 and 8%, and that is considered acceptable. But when you get up above 10, it's really excellent, and for Mica town is pretty solid.
My understanding, though, is that the state is going to penalize us for that.
That's possible. I
could
hope
be.
not, but
Because this is all public, and they actually asked us for that report.
we have to
you know?
give them our
We have
audits
to
every
tell
year,
them what we
and they
have.
had last year's audit, so they can see where we were as of the end of the year. It's a requirement to submit our audits, and they wanted this year's draft audit, which, so that's a possibility.
Yep. We do a good job, we're going to get penalized maybe. Who knows? Yep. So that's that. Thank you, Tony.
So that you can see we have some flexibility here going forward, and we haven't heard anything on the state budget yet, but we're hopeful it's sometime soon.
You heard a
Been a
rumor
few
tomorrow.
rumors,
Do you
yeah,
know
there's
any
a
I've heard
rumor,
of
Jerry?
rumors.
I've heard the same rumor 3
Tomorrow
times.
they're voting, and
So-
apparently it has a really good chance of passing.
What?
Thursday, the
The real
budget.
budget, the
No, but
budget.
what?
Well, I'm not sure
Yeah.
exactly. It's not going to be great, but
Nope.
it's not as bad as the governor's budget for the town. Call your state rep, and legislator.
The latest governor's budget was about $1.2 million for Woodbridge.
Really good, so that's almost double what we had heard
Right.
even last month.
Right.
Wow.
Okay, anybody have anything else for Tony on monthly report? Okay, we'll move on to tax refunds. It's actually 6
Public
o'clock. We
comments,
should
yeah.
probably start. Sorry. Thank you. Now it's 6 o'clock, so we'll entertain public comments, please. Anyone want to step up? Just state your name and address for Mrs. Shaw. Thank you.
Anna Dickerson, 425 Amity Road. As some of you know, I've been a Woodbridge resident all my life, was physically born here in the town, and I like living here. One of the problems with being a senior in this town is extremely difficult to handle our finances now. And not only with the high taxes, but everything else is going up, as you all know, medical expenses and drugs and food. I'm here to ask for a small service that the town can do for seniors. Last winter, we personally had several trees downed in storms that require a lot of trips to the transfer station to dispose of branches, etc. And after hearing Tony talk about the transfer station negative fees, I'm going to ask you to currently ask the Public Works to give us some assistance with this. Right now, in order to dispose of any of these branches and other debris from the trees, we have to get a permit from Public Works, and we have to pay $10 for each load. And this could be quite considerable because we have several loads that's sitting in our yard right now. We try to keep our properties neat so that they're a reflection of the beauty of the town. I would like to ask you to waive any transfer station fees for seniors. I think it's one of the minor things that you can do for seniors. I have some other ideas, but that'll be another meeting. I think this is a good one to start with because we currently are hurting with this particular thing. It was not covered by insurance because we have a high deductible.
Okay.
Seniors 55 and over.
Uh-oh. Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marge Kenusik, and I live at 4 Grove Hill Road. And I'm not sure if I should be here. I'm not on the agenda. I was asked by Dan Cohen, who's the Beecher Road School Hoot Chair, to come and request that we be allowed to put out our usual signs on Center Road. Do I need to come to a different meeting when I'm put on the agenda?
Yeah, it has to be on the agenda.
Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. So I'll.
When do you need the signs up?
The Hoot is October 21st, and so we'd love to put the signs up the week of October 9th.
Our meeting is October 11th.
That could work if we have to do it that way. I apologize
We
that,
can get them up probably on the 12th.
yeah, we have new chairs, and
It's okay.
I don't think he knew we had to put
Sure.
it on the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, thank
So
you.
have him come, or you come, October
Okay.
11th, and just sign in with, make sure Mrs. Shaw knows to add it to, she'll probably do it without even being asked. 'cause she
Okay,
does
that'd be
that, but-
awesome. If you put Dan Cohen. Well, you put Dan Cohen.
Okay.
DAN and then COWAN. He might be.
You probably could, by a 2/3 vote, add it to the agenda if you wanted it.
I mean, it's
You wanna do
something
that
you do every year.
What's the feeling of?
I've seen
It's up to the.
There's
do
no
you think?
change in the signage. It's in the same locations, and
You want to talk a little bit about, well, let's actually take a vote to agree to add it to the agenda
I'll make a motion that we
Okay.
add this item to the agenda.
for tonight.
For
Is there a
tonight.
second? Okay. Any discussion?
I so appreciate it.
Okay,
Take the vote.
I know. Any discussion? I got that part. Any discussion on the vote, okay, all in favor? Aye,
It's
okay.
unanimous, so it's okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
go.
So
idea.
the Halloween Hoot is a fundraising, the biggest fundraising event of the year at Beecher Road School. The PTO makes over $15,000, and that money is put back into educational programs, classroom support, helping families in need. We do a food drive. We do lots of things with that money. And we also want to welcome the community to the Halloween Hoot. It's a super fun thing to do on a Saturday afternoon. It'll be October 21st, running from 11 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And, maybe 11:30 to 3:30. And Dan Cohen is the chair. And we would request to put up the signage that we always put up there. A couple sandwich boards that just have the Halloween Hoot on there with the date and times.
Sandwich boards are put up on.
Center Road, there's one on Racebrook, and there's one on the corner of Racebrook and Center, and the other one is on the corner of Amity and Center.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions about any of this?
Those are the only two. I thought there were more around town.
Is there?
Sonia.
I'm the B team. Is there one? Is there one?
There's another one. Usually they have one on the corner of Ansonia and
Fountain.
Gracebrook.
Oh, that's what I mean.
So what at
That's the
Fountain?
one I mean. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually, you're right. It's not Racebrook and Center. That's,
Okay.
That's Ansonia and Racebrook. Is there another one anywhere else? There's one on school property.
I remember one being up maybe many years ago at Fountain in Ansonia. You know that, or maybe it's
Yes,
Rimmon.
Rimmon.
Rimmon
You know
and
what? There's
Fountain.
one there. Yes.
Okay.
I
So there's three.
apologize
That's
again. I
okay.
was asked to do this last minute.
That's
The same
okay.
locations as.
Yeah, so same
it's same
locations.
locations as previous years.
Okay. Okay, that's great.
We can't get multi-year permission, can we? We have to do this every
I
year.
don't think so. I don't know.
It's probably okay, better to come back every
Yeah, just to
Okay.
keep because the board changes sometimes, and it's good to keep the
Okay,
board.
thank you.
But that's great. Anybody have any other
And you're
questions
sure
about
it's
that?
just 2 signs?
No, it's three
Three.
signs.
Three
I made a
signs,
mistake.
yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah, that's okay.
Same signage as previous years. I believe it's 3
It's
signs.
a good thing, and we're all invited to go to the Hoot. and-
Absolutely, and
Yep, I'm
any
gonna
children
come.
you have. I mean, just any grandkids, anybody. Children,
wish.
we'd love to
Not
see you
yet.
there. Open to the public.
Okay, so thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the the placement of 3 signs in the,
I thought it was 4.
now it's 4, okay, sorry. Sorry, they come
4,
fast.
okay, up to 4?
Up to 4
Yes,
signs.
I apologize.
That's all right. Up to 4 signs at the locations that were discussed this evening for the Halloween Hoot to be held on, and you want to put them up the week of October 9th, correct?
Yes.
That's a Monday. Right,
Yes.
okay. Is there a motion?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Are you
Well-
putting one up on Amity and Center?
Yes.
You are, okay. That's the prime location.
Yes.
Any other
Thank you, Teri, for
discussion?
knowing where to go.
Okay, all in favor?
Appreciate it.
Done.
Thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
sorry
it.
in the middle of public
Thanks very
comments,
much.
but okay.
I apologize.
No, it's okay. Sure.
I wasn't planning on talking because we're going to defer the presentation. Bonnie Blake, Bonnie Blake, 64 Beecher Road. The reason why I thought I might say something is because it's the upshot of the meeting last night, which was very well attended, very enthusiastic crowd for putting forth this dog park proposal and the need for it now more than ever because the stronger leash laws, a safe place for the dogs to play. We got a lovely letter of support from the senior center director saying it dovetails exactly with what their goals are for their seniors. We got a lot of input from seniors saying that their doctors are telling them they have to give up their dogs because it's not safe for them to walk them, but if they could get some of the exercise out of the dogs by letting them play and run around a little bit. There's nowhere anymore for your dog to run. So there's a lot of reasons why. What I'm asking tonight is that we've come up with a bit of an organizational catch-22. CUPOP needs us to give a very detailed proposal, which we're happy to do. But it's hard to give a detailed proposal unless we know that the specific location is pretty much a given. And that's part 1. And part 2 is insurance and organizational aspects. CUPOP wants to know that that property, if it is used as a dog park, is covered under the normal town property insurance. Liability issues are something different. Connecticut has a strict liability law which says that owners are always responsible for their dogs, whether they're on their own property or anyone's property. So it doesn't mean that someone can't sue anyone, anytime, anywhere, but individual dog owners are responsible for their dogs no matter where they are, even if it's in a dog park. But it's still land, so the town policy would have to cover the land. And then there's fundraising, which there's grants and all kinds of things you can get. Karen and Laura came last night, and they're going to hopefully have some time to meet with us to ascertain what would make that enclosure safe for dogs and owners. We're very lucky. Could not be a more perfect location for a dog park. It doesn't infringe upon residents or commercial areas. There's no noise issues or visual issues. The parking is sufficient you're not going to get a big influx of people. Most of the people who use dog park are already using Fitzgerald Field. If you want to walk around the fields with your dog and then just take 10 minutes to run and let the crazies out, you still can do that. You don't have to have either or situation. So it's fenced in, but the fence needs to be reinforced. So how can we fundraise or give the insurance information without a confirmation that that can be used as a dog park? I'm wondering if we should propose a conditional approval for that property to be used as a dog park, pending, one, getting quotes for the safety measures and confirming we're doing it, showing that we can get the money, and 3, what is the town's position on whether we establish ourselves as a separate nonprofit 501(c) or go under the umbrella of the town. There's pros and cons. In the old days, the dog parks used to do it on their own. Pros for the volunteers is that they get ultimate control. Cons for the town is they get ultimate control. A lot of towns have chosen to bring these under the auspices of the rec department because then they have control over everything that's done. If it's under the auspices of the town, then we don't have to go separately and file a 501(c), and we can start fundraising. So these are the kinds of things, and we're prepared to submit that type of conditional proposal. But if you think that's a stupid idea, we'll listen to that too. I'm sorry?
I think the threshold issue is this 8-24 review by the Planning and Zoning Commission. They have to give us a recommendation whether this is okay or not.
Right.
They're probably going to be asking you questions as to what are your plans for some of the structural, if there are any structural changes
Right.
that need to be made, and that's what they, so you should be prepared when they schedule this, probably in October,
Yep.
to answer those questions, and they make a referral back to the Board of Selectmen, and anything that the board does, I would think would be premature until we know whether it's okay with P&Z.
Well, that's absolutely fine, but I can't go forward even, we'll wait for town planning and zoning, but we really can't do anything with CUPOP, who's going to want the
correct.
insurance thing
So
issue.
you might have to wait to go to CUPOP. In other words, if they've scheduled you for their next meeting, it might be premature to do that until
Right.
you've gotten back the 824.
We'll do the
part
zoning
one.
thing, but even with that, who then says, okay, on a conditional basis, the town is in agreement with that being used as a dog park? Condition upon meeting the safety requirements, et cetera.
I think usually what happens is the proponents make a proposal to the Board of Selectmen. You have to make some decisions and bring it to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen may have different ideas once they see what you say and make modifications to that, but it usually starts with the proponent of any plan coming to the board with their idea and their concept.
So without your input, we could suggest that we be under the aegis of the town's 501, whatever.
I think ultimately to the Board of Selectmen.
But I mean, it would go to CUPOP first, though, is that correct?
It could go to CUPOP first, yeah. Right. They're only advisory to the Board of Selectmen, so the Board of Selectmen has the ultimate deciding power.
Understood.
But you could present it to CUPOP first.
Does CUPOP need to know what the town's liability is, so when they come before then, that question will be answered?
Yes.
Like, as the liaison, should I go back to them after,
Yes.
meeting with you and let them know what's under the umbrella policy?
Yeah, we're currently just verifying there's a difference between liability and then the risk involved with the operation. I'm pretty sure we're just getting confirmation that there's no exclusion in our policy for something like this, barring any exclusion, which I don't think there is. Then it would be covered under our policy. And but then there's the issue of risk and how it's constructed, and I would imagine that the ACO here would have some suggestions, right, to as you indicated,
But
Karen.
we would.
So it's
closely
constructed
with
properly
them.
so that it minimizes risk and injury and that kind
Exactly.
of stuff.
I mean, the fence is wonderful as it is, and however, it's not suitable for small dogs, and there's places, I did go over and scrutinize it, and someday I'll have to do it with Karen if she ever has a minute. It may not be reinforced properly for a larger dog. I don't know. These are the things Karen can help us with. But we would want to minimize, you can't make anything risk-proof, but we would want to address as many of the issues as possible based on Karen's recommendations, and other dog parks, like Naugatuck just built one, and so they have the latest and best information on, what needs to be done. But we obviously need your insurance input.
Yeah, we'll have that.
Okay.
If you're
Sure. So I
shortly.
guess the best way for her to proceed right now, we've referred it to town plan and zoning.
You're going to schedule a hearing. You can go to the
and
hearing.
You can go to that one whenever they schedule you. You gotta, I guess, go down and see Christine downstairs and,
Well, Christine will probably schedule it for the next meeting.
Right.
Your head.
okay.
Okay.
Saw it down in the building. No, it's not building, it's
Sherry, what happens in the event that dog owners are not
land
homeowners
use,
here
okay.
and don't have homeowners insurance? They're renters.
Well, that's a very good point, because as you know, Connecticut has a statute which is strict liability for a dog owner if there is an incident. But that doesn't prevent anyone from suing the dog owner as well as the town. There may be insurance coverage issues with the dog owner, and for other reasons, somebody may feel that the town did something negligent in the park, and they can always sue the town. You said we were going to charge people to be members of the dog park. People will have to pay.
Not members. There was I misspoke, and we agonized over that. There are no dog parks that charge for membership, and it sets up a really dangerous precedent. Do we charge to use the playgrounds? Do we charge to use any other public land in town? But we would have a membership in the cooperative, so that it's a voluntary, and we got pledges for that already.
You would not be allowed to use the dog park unless you were a member of the cooperative, and you had to be a member. Is that right? No. Okay, you can use a dog park for free. And you don't have to be a member of the cooperative, because it's important. We also have a statute which says if the town opens up town properties and doesn't charge for it, the town may have some immunity if anybody comes back and sues us, but if we charge, we may be subject to liability. So that's an issue that we can talk about with CUPOP with you at a later date, once we know what CUPOP and P&Z decide.
I actually got a hold of an attorney, a state attorney that's a quasi-expert on this, and she said that the town is basically saying we will, I forget the word, but basically everywhere in the town is a leash law, but we are allowing this section of our town property for you not to have that leash law. Take the dogs off leash. That's about all that they're doing. But you're right. I mean, like if there was an incident a while ago in Woodbridge where one kid bit another on a playground and broke skin, and again, is that the town's responsibility or the parent's medical insurance? All goes well until someone decides to sue, and when people sue and where they tripping on the Fitzgerald paths, or kids bite someone else, yeah, they'll probably sue the town too, just because that's the way people are. And we can't totally protect ourselves against that. We can just do the best we can. But you're the experts on that. I'm just saying what I've learned from other dog parks, and you hope that you have a nice group of people. I will say this, that contrary to what even I believed, because I'm a country girl, I grew up in Woodbridge, and who needs a dog park if you let your dog run around the town? We didn't, my neighbors looked out for each other's dogs. There were no fences and whatever. So I thought they were city things, and now every community surrounding Woodbridge has a dog park. And they're becoming greater. A fellow that just moved into town with his family came to the meeting last night and said he was appalled at the lack of community in Woodbridge, and then he actually goes back to his old dog park just to have a sense of community, because they end up gathering places, picnic tables, and people sit and talk and whatnot. Dogs tend to actually be better behaved in dog parks than they are elsewhere, because people create a community and take responsibility for each other. They know each other's dogs. They will say, hey, Joe, your dog is being too rowdy, get him out, or to give him a timeout. We don't have that within Fitzgerald Fields. My puppy's been attacked 3 times in Fitzgerald Fields with dogs on leash, but never in a dog park. So, in any case, that's it, but I'm really happy for the input so we can move forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Laura Torrance, 17 Vernon Court. I was going to start out with something different, but the lack of community and support from the neighbors for me in Woodbridge in the last 6 weeks of my life has been beyond anything I could have ever expected. We had a terrible family tragedy that a lot of you are aware of. The friendship and support that I receive from this community is like nothing I would have ever expected. I thought I was alone, and I'm not. And a big part of that is because we do have neighbors in my neighborhood that if they see my dog, they do call me. And I have a lot of dogs and a lot of animals running all over the place. And so in that sense, I have never had a problem. But I want to say that since Beth has taken office, issues that I have been dealing with as a resident of this town for the last 20 years, are suddenly being paid attention to and dealt with in a fair manner for everybody. I am, at one point, felt that maybe Woodbridge was not a good fit for me because I expected certain things from government that I didn't feel I was getting. But in spite of the disasters that have happened in my life recently, I must comment that to you, Beth, personally, the hope and the wonder that you have brought to your office and your team, all of you, I thank you for all your time that you spend and your kindness and consideration. And I really do believe that in spite of all these things, the country club and all the stuff that everybody's complaining about all the time, we're really lucky. We live in a beautiful community, and I think that everything is going to work out. And I'm proud to say I live in Woodbridge, especially proud that there are so many fine, considerate people that were there for me in this government and in the community, the police, the firemen, and it really means a lot to my family, and I want to thank you personally and thank everyone here that reached out to me. So, something that's not a disaster, and that we wish the dog park well, and we hope now that you guys will figure out the best solution. And
have a good team.
But thank you all for your friendship and support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yeah, well,
Anyone
there's
else
more
for
than I could
public
even
comment?
say in an evening.
Public comment, anybody else? Okay, thank you.
We're gonna go.
Where were we?
Okay.
Monthly report for
Tax
the,
refunds.
tax refunds.
Tax
Actually,
refunds.
I think Boy Scouts.
Okay.
Oh, yes, right.
Ted, I didn't see you, I'm sorry. Okay, sure. We'll back up. Okay, we skipped because we just kept going. For item 7, Troop 63, BSA, holiday tree sale and signs. Ted Pockwitz.
Yes. Ted Pockwitz, Manila Ave, Woodbridge. I'm here representing Troop 63. We're requesting permission from the town to use the green and also to put up signs in the same spots that we have over the last
4,000.
60, 30 plus years that we've been doing our tree sales. It's our major fundraiser that helps support the troop, covers our insurance, our registration with council, and a lot of the awards that the boys earn. It teaches them a lot of dealing with the community, dealing with people that they may not know. You know, we get a lot of people that come through that when the boys are working, they don't necessarily know who's coming. Yes, some of their friends may come, but it teaches them how to interact with other adults that they don't know and teaches them life skills. They learn salesmanship. When the weather's bad, they're out there toughing it out throughout the weather and learn to properly prepare to do that kind of stuff. So we're requesting use of the green and to put our signs out and advertise. We plan on starting to put the signs out and set up the A-frames for the trees about the weekend of the 10th of November. The tree sales would start probably the 24th or 25th of November. We're still finalizing when the trees will be in, and we'll be out no later than the 25th of December.
Does anyone have any questions on that? It has been 4,000 years, I think.
Yeah, long time.
Okay. Jerry gave me a note that we checked on the insurance policy, and we have received current certificate of $1 million, right? And with the town as shown as an additional insured. So that's adequate. Okay. I have a motion, and I guess, Mica, would you like to read it or for me? We just wrote out a motion so that
Nope, that's fine.
we'll do it as before. It's in your packet.
Just reading this here, correct, is that?
Yeah.
The whole excerpt, or is this the?
Oh, actually, that's not that's what happened last year. Sorry, don't mind me. I got a little bit. Having Laura here was. I'm sorry. I'll get it together again. Okay. You could just read last year's. What we did last
The Board
year.
of Selectmen voted unanimously, Kane and Day, to grant permission to the Boy Scouts Troop 63 for use of the Firehouse Grove for the 2016 holiday tree and green sale from Friday, November 25th until Saturday, December 24th, or until all trees, greens are sold, whichever date comes first. And further, to grant permission to display oversized signs on town property announcing the event.
Okay. So I'll make a motion going forward to grant permission to Boy Scout Troop 63 the use of the Firehouse Grove for the 2017 Holiday Tree Greens Sale from what date?
November 25th.
20.
Well, we're gonna start setting up possibly 2 weeks before,
So the 10th?
so like the weekend of the 10th.
10th is
the 9th,
Friday?
9th or 10th, that, depending on
Okay.
what our availability of our staff
Until
is.
Saturday, or till whatever December 24th day is. Okay.
It's not Monday.
Or until all the trees or greens are sold, whichever day comes first. And further, to grant permission to display oversized signs on town property announcing the event. Is there a second?
Happily second.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this? All in favor? Done.
Thank you
Hey,
very
thanks
much.
for coming. Thanks for waiting a little bit longer.
No problem.
Okay. Oh, now we're back to tax refunds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I just gotta get there. In your packet, you have a request for refund of property taxes per section 12-124 to 129. There were no personal property refunds requested this month. Real estate refund is $5,592. Motor vehicle refunds are $6,692.19. Total refunds thus are $12,284.19. Is there a motion to approve the total refund of $12,284.19 as displayed in your packet? I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All in favor? Aye, okay, thank you. Funding requests.
Okay.
Tony, I have to get a tissue, I'm sorry.
Yep, okay.
She's really for the loop. You want me to read the first one?
Actually, I'm going to hand out the one for the mowing here.
Okay, thank you.
And there's a new summary sheet on top for the contingency. Because it's so early in the year, you know, I'm not so sure that there's money in other accounts, which is why this comes out of contingency. So that you'll see the summary, and then there's 2 requests for this evening. So,
Okay.
continue.
Thank you.
Okay.
First funding request we have is line item transfer number 1718-02 in the amount of $30,000. This request is to address dead or dying trees that need to be removed or trimmed. And there is
There's something from Warren.
there's a memorandum
Yeah.
to you from Kelly
Yeah.
and copying Warren. Tony, we are requesting a line item transfer of $30,000 to address dead or dying trees that need to be removed or trimmed. Please contact our office if you have need any required information. Line item transfer request is coming from 1310-00.
So, yeah.
Sorry, all right,
Yeah.
you go.
I'll explain it.
I'm
yeah.
sorry, thank
That's
you.
okay. So, in Warren's line item, there's a line item for road maintenance. Road maintenance is crack sealing roads, roads that maybe need maintenance but are not going to be repaved, if there's a drainage issue. And because of the number of ash trees in particular that are now dying on the side of the road, that's what these are addressing, the ones on the roadside. He's just as overwhelmed with trees. So he's reassessing his priorities and redirecting the funds that he would normally use for his road maintenance and putting it towards tree removal.
I would say there's a request at least once a week,
At least.
which we forward to Warren from, people send me photos and there's a lot of them in town.
And they're mostly ash trees.
Yep, the ash borer
Ash
beetles
borer,
get
yeah.
them, yeah.
Yep.
So that explains it.
So that's his
That includes
request.
the Public Works won't be doing the
This isn't.
street.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So Warren.
Yeah.
Does that mean Warren wouldn't be doing the repairs? Is this in addition to the repairs or in lieu of?
This is instead of having that money in the road repair budget. Not road paving, that's different.
Right.
Road paving is when
The
we go,
repairs, like
repair would be like a
the
drainage
potholes.
repair or,
Right.
or a,
How much is in that total?
the total is like $70,000.
So
So there's
he's
still
taking
considerable amount of money in there to do some repairs.
Mm-hmm.
He usually uses the amount for crack sealing. I don't know if you've seen it, where he goes in a crack seal a road to try to give it a few more years. So
Yeah,
there's
black stripes on your road.
Right, they're like strips.
Yeah,
Right.
I have them all over the place.
That's usually what he uses the majority of that money for. There's still be some money for that and money for potholes and some drainage and stuff. This is just to redirect a little bit of it to help with the tree problem.
And we've had a few requests. I think Michael Luther sent us a letter a few months
He
ago
did.
asking for
Yeah.
more money for trees. People who drive around, we've had a lot of asks.
It's terrible,
So,
yeah.
it's pretty bad. So hopefully
I
this'll help.
think that there's a lot of people that were complaining that the state that their streets were in. So I wouldn't want to support anything that would take any funds away from the ability for the town to fix the current problems with the streets, not paving, but I know that there are quite a few people that were
Warren didn't seem
complaining.
to think that this would have an impact on his ability to make those repairs.
Okay.
'Cause we asked him the same question.
Okay, that's good. Okay, thank you. So I will entertain a motion to approve line item transfer number 1718-02 in the amount of $30,000. I have to say which account from? From
Yeah, from.
road maintenance 1310-00//55170 to public works contracted services line item 1310-004/536.
Yeah, you don't have to, you could just do the description,
Okay.
not the numbers. Yeah.
Okay,
But
I want to
again-
do it legally.
So the 30,000 would leave 40,000 in that budget?
Approximately, yeah, a little over 40,000.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
45.
Anybody have any other questions on this? I entertained the motion. Did somebody motion, actually?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna get better at this, I promise, guys.
Yeah, great.
Okay.
Me too.
Thanks. Okay. And then we have another funding request, which is related to the...
Discussed this evening, right?
Discussed this evening, related to the mowing at the former Country Club of Woodbridge. Funding request number 1718-03, not to exceed $4,000. And it will be, I will make a motion, and then we can talk about it. How about that? To take $4,000 from contingency to the, it's called golf course
Expense. It's spelled wrong.
Okay, yeah, what is an exprise, okay? Could be a new word, okay, golf course expense line item. And I'll make that motion, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any other discussion on that? And we'll get back to you.
Just so important that we itemize what they're going to do to make sure that it covers as much
Certainly.
of that.
I completely agree
particularly in
with you.
some of
We will
the
absolutely do
wooded
that,
areas and
yes.
things of that nature.
Yep, and I'll make sure we all get copied on it and it goes out publicly, what we're doing, so. We have a motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Excuse me, who seconded it?
I did.
thank you. Is that all the funding requests?
That's it.
Okay, now we're up to item 10D, sweeper lease purchase agreement, authorized for selectmen to execute. Tony?
We, if you recall, last few meetings ago, we authorized the purchase of a lease, of a sweeper, excuse me, for $243,548. That was the bid of a sweeper, which was awarded. So the town, in its budget process, identified $75,000 to be paid up front on the purchase, and then the lease, the remaining $168,548. This is a resolution to accept that lease. This was approved in the budget process by the Board of Finance. And the idea here is that we currently used to put in the budget, it's roughly $25,000, $30,000 to sweep the town. We'd have a contractor do it. So we were able to acquire a sweeper with a payback period of, I think it was like 4 years or so, where we would then pay back the sweeper by not having to put that in our budget. And then we would have a sweeper, which the last one was from, I don't know, it's like 30 years old. So the idea is we should have this for the foreseeable future, and it was a need that we all agreed that was about time we replaced our old sweeper. The other one was so old it wasn't reliable enough to sweep the town as it once did. So anyway, this lease will fund the remainder.
Tony, do we know?
Pardon?
Curiosity question. How often do we use it?
The sweeper? So we'll use it to sweep the town, which is going to be done usually in the spring after the sanding, yeah. And then it's used for if there's any things are washed away, like on the side of the road. If a resident has something happen during a rainstorm, it's used for car accidents. If there's like sweeping needed there, it's done for town lots. It's used quite a bit actually. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
So at this point, I will entertain a motion to authorize the first selectman to execute the resolution and declaration of official intent lease to the town of Woodbridge. I don't have to say anything else about that related to the sweeper.
Right, and it's
lease purchase
it's a resolution here. Yeah.
Yeah, and the resolution is in your packet. We don't need to read the whole thing.
No.
Thank goodness. Okay, and the principal amount expected to be financed is $168,548.00.
And we just so you know, we go out to bid on these lease prices, and J.P. Morgan Chase was the low bid. In case you were wondering. Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So I'll entertain that motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. David, thank you. Any other discussion on this? Questions? All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Item 10E, award the bid to the center boiler block replacement.
The center building has two boilers, and it's steam heat, and one of them failed last year. So the idea is we have two of them in case one of them fails, and then also, as I understand it, you alternate the use so that one doesn't get too much use and therefore extending the life. One of them failed last year, and we looked into possibly replacing it with hot water heat, and it proved to be very expensive. It was in excess of several $100,000 because we needed to replace a lot of piping in the building, and we didn't get a very large payback from the gas company. So that was, we sort of did a lot of calculations on it, and it just didn't prove to be something that would have a payback of anything significant. In other words, it wouldn't have paid itself back. It was over, I don't know, it was 10, 15 years. So based on how much it cost, and we sort of all decided collectively that we would just replace the existing boiler block. And Teri Gilbertson was very helpful with this, as was Brad in building maintenance, and the gas company was also helpful. So we went out to bid, and this is an indication of how many bids you usually get. Does she put the summary in here? Usually she puts a, no. Does she put the bid summary in here?
It just says 5 submissions were
Oh, she didn't put the summary in. So we received 5 bids, and the low bid was $34,990, and the high bid was close to $60,000, I think. So it just goes to show you it's always helpful to bid these things.
Good to bid.
Because, you know, sometimes we get a wide range of bids, and we've used Pete Wilshire Plumbing and Heating for a lot of projects, and we're very pleased with their service.
Okay. So based on the recommendation from who sent this to us?
Brad. Yeah.
Okay. I would entertain a motion that we approve bid number 2018-02 for the boiler block replacement in the amount of $34,990 to Pete. We award the bid to Pete Wilshire Plumbing and Heating. Is there a motion? Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Any other discussion on this? All in favor? Okay. Thank you. It's good to get that done, I guess, before it gets
before the heating's
nippy.
correct.
Right. All right.
The other one was the same age as the one that failed. So,
Well,
right.
okay. Is there any other on the other?
No other.
Okay, no
I was going to
other.
mention the state, but we talked about that already.
Right,
Yeah.
well, let's not. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Item 11,
Proposed, did you do the request for the country club? You did that one, right? Okay.
up to 4,000, yep. Okay. Item 11, Assistant Administrative Officer's Report. I'll call on Sheila McCracken. Thank you.
So in addition to the ongoing work we're doing at the town level to promote all the various events, and we're hearing about them from all the different boards and commissions and the activities that are going on. So we send those out in the newsletter, which has begun, it's monthly again. We took a little hiatus in the summer, which was planned. The September newsletter is arrived in everyone's mailbox, and we're already gathering items for the October newsletter. So
I was sending them out today. I was thinking of ideas, bombarding you with.
we have a lot of ideas. We have Tony Belinsky helping to coordinate all of these ideas as they come in, and we have them in here. So David, the items that you spoke about in Human Services and Library, I know are already slated for that. In addition, though, I want to highlight for you a little show and tell. We have the Woodbridge Fallapalooza that is about to kick off is for the month of October. People can go to the website, woodbridgect.org/Fallapalooza, and there you will find this as a handout. You could print it out. It's also got the full listing of all the activities that are happening. I'm just going to highlight a couple of them because we have the cameras here, and it's always helpful to do a little show and tell. So Business After Hours networking event at the original Antonio's. We're very happy about that. That's happening October 3rd. People are interested in attending. They're more than welcome to be there. The Woodbridge Road Race, of course, is happening October 7th. And I'm just going to tell you about the things that happen before the next Board of Selectmen meeting, because we'll get a chance to plug the rest later. So Marrakesh is doing a health and wellness fair at Amity High School. That's at the same time as the Woodbridge Road Race. We're asking people to please use the back entrance to Amity High School to get to that health and wellness fair, because we're going to close off Newton Road for the road race, of course, very briefly. On October 14th is the Woodbridge Regional Animal Control Pet Costume Contest that's going to take place down at Blue Check Deli. That's going to be a lot of fun. On that same day, the Mazzaro Farm Family Fun Day, and they coordinated their timing, so they happen right after that pet costume party is over. And then the last two things I'm going to highlight, the Darling House Open House, hearth cooking and a hike, which is going to be a daunting hike, I think, up West Rock. The ridge there, the Regicides Trail. And at this, the same day, the JCC is presenting an author, Peter Gether's My Mother's Kitchen, and that will take place at the Woodbridge Town Library. There are many other activities. You can check the website, and we'll talk about them at the next Board of Selectmen meeting. And I know you guys are planning to attend to represent the town, which is fantastic. Helps us. The other item that I want to kind of showcase, and I can just hold up, this is the prototype. It's getting ready to go out. This is the Town of Woodbridge Emergency Preparation Guide for the fall of 2017 in time for hurricane season, which we hope is not striking Woodbridge, of course. But this is going to go out to all folks. It's going to be on a nice heavy cardstock and nice and bright. It's going to give you instructions that we hope you'll tack on your refrigerator or your bulletin board. But look for that. I would say by early next week it should be in mailboxes.
Did you say we do that every year, right?
I think it actually comes out twice a year.
Okay.
This has the update for fall 2017. We're putting that on there so that people know the one that went out last year was maybe a different color. This will have a different color. We'll have a date on it. The one new item that's on it is asking people to download an app for your mobile phone or your device of any kind. It's called the CT Prepares, and it's ct.gov. You can go and get it there. And when you get this in the mail, you'll also see there's some links, so you can download it on Apple and Android devices.
I did it already.
Did you?
Yeah,
Excellent.
It's kind of neat.
We're getting
There's
good
no
compliance.
news because we don't have any problems. So
no news is good news.
It's very quiet. It's a very happy little app.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's it for my report.
Okay, thank you so much. Item 12 is the town clerk's report. Do we do a motion to acknowledge receipt? Yes. Okay, I will make a motion that we acknowledge receipt of the town clerk's report that's in our packet dated August 1st, 2017 through August 31st, 2017. State and town. And another one from July 1st, 2017 through August 31st, 2017. Is there a second? Thank you, David. All in favor? Thank you. Item 13 is minutes, and we have one set in our packet from the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen on August 9th, 2017. I'll make the motion that we approve the minutes that are in the packet. Is there a second? Thank you, David. Anyone have any additions, corrections, comments? All in favor? Thank you. And the Woodbridge Conservation Commission undertook and has drafted and come up with a Woodbridge open space plan drafted by the Woodbridge Conservation Commission for 2017, which I guess they're required to do, and I just thought you should have it, so I put it in your packet. Easy, easy, easy. Thank you. Okay, Town Council's report.
So very, very quick, except for our executives, the first item is their subsidence issue. We talked about this, I think, at the last meeting. In 2011, Senator Crisco, now Selectman Crisco, was able to obtain a $2 million grant from the state of Connecticut for properties in New Haven and Woodbridge that were undergoing subsidence, which is a sinking of the foundation into the ground. There were several properties like that in New Haven. State Rep Pat Dillon was also very interested and anxious to get this money to help some of the homeowners in New Haven. And it turned out that Woodbridge was able to get $500,000 of the $2 million grant. $1.5 million went to New Haven. After after several years, Betsy Yagler was working on this and finally got the state to send us an administrative agreement, which means that the town supervises this program, and we have to identify certain houses in Woodbridge that might qualify for the program, get funds from the state to fix their subsidence, the sinking of the foundations. We identified, I think, definitely one, possibly one, and maybe another one, but we've been concentrating on one property only, and that's 6 Warren Road. And we're required under the administrative agreement with the state of Connecticut to hire an engineer at the state's expense that comes out of the grant to determine how much of a cost there would be in fixing this property, this subsidence issue. Turns out that the engineering report, which was very thorough and detailed, indicated that it would cost approximately 3.5 times the value of the house, at about $350,000 to fix. The state had up until this issue had a policy that they would only give a certain percentage of value. In other words, it didn't make sense to give so much more than the value of the house. It would be a waste. According to them, it would be not the best use of taxpayer money. But the town, nevertheless, through Betsy and then Tony and I went up to see the Assistant Commissioner at the Department of Economic and Community Development. We're trying to help this homeowner as best we can. We think it's unfortunate. The money is there. It's not town money. It's purely state money, and it would be a shame for the money to go to waste. However, there are requirements that the state is now raising where the project could be in jeopardy, although we're doing some additional work. A woman, an employee of the DECD, indicated that they would feel more comfortable if we got a second engineering report at the state's expense to sort of verify the first report to make sure the conclusions are accurate and to make sure that spending any money on the property would actually fix the subsidence issue. So that's where we are. It's been a long time. The homeowner has a lawyer who's representing her, who I've been talking to. Obviously have a very significant interest in getting this fixed. The lawyer is being very cooperative and we're trying to work through this. There's a question as to whether it ultimately would be a happy ending for the homeowner, but we're doing whatever we can. So I'll keep reporting back on that as new developments occur. So if there's no other questions on the subsidence issue, we can do a quick executive session to approve a settlement.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion. I'll make a motion that we go into executive session pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes, Section 1-210, parens B and parens 4 and parens, discussion regarding tax appeal litigation for property located at 225 Amity Road, and I would invite in Attorney Weiner, obviously.
Tony.
Tony Genovese.
Yes.
That's it?
Tony. That's it.
Okay. So I'll make that motion. Is there a second?
A second.
Thank you, Mica. We are now out of executive session. There were no votes taken, no motions made, and no votes taken during executive session. And I'm going to turn the meeting over to Attorney Weiner to just discuss the matter.
So we've talked about this litigation, this pending litigation in executive session, and it involves property in Woodbridge known as 225 Amity Road, Woodbridge.
Excuse me, would you put the mic towards him so...
This one?
I don't care, one of them, but
Okay.
you one of them.
We, in executive session, we discussed a tax appeal that was filed by the owners of property at 225 Amity Road, Woodbridge, which is commonly known to most of us as the Willows. The Willows took an appeal of their assessed value of their real estate in October of 2014. The case has been pending and it is coming up for trial very quickly, and we had one pre-trial in court with a judge, and we have another scheduled, I think, at the end of September. In the interim, the parties, the lawyers with the Willows and the town's attorneys have been discussing settlement, and we reviewed an appraisal that the plaintiff's attorney has submitted to the court, and that appraisal is a fair market value of $4.5 million. The town has been placing a fair market value of $8.626,700. So there's a tremendous disparity between what we have assessed it at and what the appraiser for the Willows came up with. We've been reviewing the appraisal, and we actually had some discussions with informal discussions, and we did not get any formal appraisal, but we feel it is in the best interest of the town to settle this appeal. And based on the discussions with the lawyer for the plaintiff for the Willows, we have agreed to assess a new fair market value of $5,500,000, which is less than what we have been appraising the fair market value at, but is more than what the plaintiff's appraisal is. And in view of all the circumstances, I would strongly recommend to the Board of Selectmen that this settlement, which is set out in a document entitled Findings of Fact and Stipulation, be approved by the Board of Selectmen so we can go forward. And the adjustments made to the Willows, there is going to be some money that the town is going to owe the Willows because they have been making payments on the October 1st, 2014 and October 1st, 2015 and October 1st, 2016 grant list in accordance with what the town was originally appraising at. So we owe them some money, and we can make those payments on a periodic basis in 4 equal quarterly payments. So that is also another incentive for us to recommend this settlement. So if the board agrees with me, I would suggest that the board adopt a motion to approve the settlement, which is particularly set forth in a document entitled Finding of Facts and Stipulation, and this will be filed with the court, and I would ask for your approval, or I can answer any questions.
I'll make the motion as discussed and set out by Gerald Weiner. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Okay. All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it. We have one more thing under other business. David forgot something, so.
Well, I didn't
forget. Thought it was going to be mentioned otherwise.
The fact that I forgot.
Yeah.
I have some information I thought Sheila had, and I didn't want to be redundant nor steal her thunder. But there were a couple of items that were I was going to mention in my liaison report. These are programs from the center, and I think they're just worth mentioning. There will be a lunch bunch at the Massaro Farm. That's on Monday, September 18th, for the family-style farm meal, which is $8. There is going to be at the center on October 3rd a Grammy-nominated Nashville musician named Janie Street. And she's the winner of the LA Music Critics 2017 Icon Award. So she's, I guess, something special, although I don't know her. That will be at 12:30 at the center on October 3rd. There is also going to be a flu shot clinic, and that's going to be on Friday, October 13th, 11 o'clock to 2:30. Wear short sleeve shirts and bring your insurance cards. And then there will be a pancake breakfast, which is a fundraiser for the Walk to End Alzheimer's. That's going to be September 17th at 8 o'clock to 10:30, and that will be $10, children under 5 free, and the Walk to End Alzheimer's is on Sunday, September 24th, and that will be at Lighthouse Point Park. I'm almost done. There will also be a lecture series, Coffee at 10, a bit of breakfast and a bit of knowledge, or nasha no, as I wanted to call it. And these will be September 19th, Myths and Realities of the Court with Probate, Judge Cliff Hoyle. October 25th, Opiates and Chronic Pain. There's an herbalist, no, he's a naturopath. November 29th, Healthy Diet. December 20th, Sheila McCrevin will be doing genealogy methodology. January 24th, well, there are a lot of them. I don't want to go through all of them. And the last thing was...
You're going to take us through June?
Yeah, we're going to take us through June. And then this is a fundraiser, and I think this is of some note. There will be an annual pie sale. This is for the Woodbridge Center. This is a big fundraiser, and they want people to put their orders in and pay by Friday, October 27th. And that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone have any other business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Somebody, please.
So moved. I'll move.
Everybody likes it here. They like it here.
I'll move.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.